Hello, world. Yeah, it's late at night. Oh my goodness, it's actually 1 o'clock. Okay, cool. I meant to record this video nearly a week ago. It's currently the 27th. Less than 20, almost a week, minus like 12 hours, because I meant to record it on the 20th at around 12 o'clock or whatever, and it's 27th. 1 a.m. Right. Anyway, the whole thing is about to be on forgiveness. The reason I'm talking about forgiveness is a combination of last week's sermon was on, the idea of forgiveness with running through the Lord's Prayer, and that night, Wednesday night, we had small group and we're talking about things, and I don't know, one thing that came up to me is the idea forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgive and forget is a very common saying throughout this world, and it's completely and utterly wrong. And it's kind of also why I want to explain. I'm a big fan of the Magnus Archives, and this is huge spoilers for Magnus Archives, which is a really cool show. So podcast, audio dramas. You should go listen to it if you don't want to get spoilers, but you can get spoilers for it. I don't know. It's kind of major spoilers though. But anyway, main character, Jon, basically, season 5 has this big speech where he says, I cannot forgive Daisy for what she's done. Sure, I'm her friend now, yada yada yada, but I cannot forgive her for the time she literally tried to murder me, where I was interviewing this guy, she came in, kidnapped the both of us, shot the other guy in the head, put me up against a tree, and threatened to cut my throat out with a box knife to kill me. And the only reason he's still living is because someone comes to his rescue. He's never been more terrified in his life than that moment, because that's a really, really traumatic experience. And this is a guy who's literally been kidnapped by multiple people, but no one's been that close to actively killing him. The knife was against the throat. He was going to die that night, and he was looking in the eyes of the person who was going to kill him. He's been in life and death situations before, but it was the time when he was the most, not only was he in a life and death situation, he was had the least power, and it was that was traumatic. But he's like, I cannot forgive her for that. Even though, from a Christian perspective, he actually demonstrates forgiveness. What he does is, later on, they end up working together and putting aside the differences to work together and get along, and he doesn't go after revenge on her. He then ends up saving her life, literally at risk of his own life, going in and going. To be fair, one could argue that he's a bit suicidal depressive during that stage and just wants to fit. But even then, after he comes out, it's the reason she did that was because of outside influence. There are fears and stuff, and there's all sorts of supernatural things going on that contributed to her being in the position where she would do that. And he was after he saved her life, she was in a position where basically she ended up in this coffin type thing, buried underground kind of thing, and that cut her off from the fear power thingy that was fueling that side of her. And through saving her, she was cut off, and he kind of helped her maintain that cutoff because he was also trying to deny another fear god. So they kind of bonded over that, and they kind of became friends of that, and they're actually quite good friends. But then she ends up, due to circumstances, the apocalypse happens. That means she reverts to full fear monster completely. No human there at all. No cognitive thought. She is basically a wolf animal. She is actually physically a big wolf and has no thought processes whatsoever, and she ends up having to be killed. He's Basira's the one who has to kill her, and they're partners, and they've got a dynamic. And she's Jon's oh, you were friends. It's why do you think? And she's I could never forgive her, and Basira and Daisy never asked for forgiveness because she knew she didn't deserve it and it wasn't right. It's a beautiful moment that talks about what actually happened. It's yeah, I get she's a friend, and yeah, I get she was trying and she was better, but you need to understand she severely hurt me. And it's kind of like, oh, well, actually, from a Christian point of view, you have forgiven. Because from a Christian point of view, the idea is that we don't actually deserve. Forgiveness isn't something you earn, it's something you're given freely. It's the idea that you're not going. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. You don't forgive someone to make them feel better. You forgive them to make yourself feel better. It's the fact that you're not going to seek revenge. It's the fact that you're not going to hurt them. There's a beautiful quote. I can't quite remember the quote, but go to New Life. Go to the podcast. Aaron Moore would have been the one speaking, and it would have been on the 17th. And they'll have the same quote, and they'll actually tell you who it's by, because it's not them that I'm quoting, it's someone else that I can't be bothered looking at right now. Really should have. It's been a little week that I could have done this, but oh well. Forgiveness is releasing someone from jail and realizing the prisoner was you. Basically, the whole concept is that not forgiving someone actually hurts you more than it ever will hurt the other person. Forgiveness doesn't affect the other person, it only affects you, and holding on to anger and hurt and things that have been done to you will only be worse for you in the long run. Like, what Jon did there, it's like, he says he didn't forgive, mainly because what actually happened was he didn't forget, and he didn't condone, because in the Christian, when I forgive you, I'm not condoning your action. In fact, the very fact that I have to forgive you implies that you did something wrong. You can't be forgiven if you've done nothing wrong. Like that's a big misconception. Forgiveness comes because I also know I make mistakes. Forgiveness comes because if you're going to try and want to do better, then I'm going to help you try and do better. Forgiveness comes because I know it would only hurt me in the end if I tried for revenge. Like, sure, one could say I'm also hurting you, but like, in some ways, but like, I'm honestly probably hurting me more than I'm hurting you by holding on to that anger and resentment, because guess what? Hurting you isn't going to change what happened. Isn't going to bring back who was lost or whatever was lost. It just make me feel worse. Like, the whole idea of forgiveness is letting go. Not forgetting. Never forgetting. Just moving on. It's like, it's a healthy, basically it's a healthy part in the process of grieving. Yeah. In some ways, yes. And in the other ways, it's like, oh, if someone's done something bad and it hasn't directly affected you and you're not the victim, don't judge them. You have no right to judge that person for that. If they are reaching out for help and trying to be better, you give them that help. You're not the victim. If you're the victim, then you don't have to help people, because the person that hurt you, because I get it. You don't have to. All you have, like, sometimes part of forgiveness is removing yourself from that situation, going, like, I forgive you, and I'm not going to try and get, forgiveness in the Christian terms is giving the justice over God. I'm not going to try and insinuate my own justice over you, but I'm also never going to put myself with you again, because I can no longer trust you. Forgiveness is going back and trusting that person again, to never do that again. It's giving yourself and them another chance. And yes, in some ways it is giving them another chance and yourself another chance, but it's also going, it's giving justice over to God. And that's pretty awesome, because God's the only one that can really conceive of justice and actually has the authority to pursue it. So, yeah, that's one of the things forgiveness is, and it's also going, well, honestly, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to seek revenge. Someone else is going to do that for you. Someone else is in charge of that. So yeah, that's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not forgetting, and it never was. And a lot of people kind of go, oh, like especially Harry Potter, like the like that Hufflepuff ghost, whatever, the Fat Friar. Nope, that's a Robin Hood character. I don't know, but is that ghost who goes, oh, forgive and forget. And it's like, move on. That's like, no, 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 no. You don't forgive and forget. Yes, you forgive. You forgive all, but you do not. You don't. That does not mean forget, because forgetting can actually sometimes mean losing the things that you learnt in that situation. Because no matter how bad a thing is, you might gain something from it. Whether it be the community that builds itself up around you to support you through it, or the knowledge that that person was really shitty and maybe you should have got them all out of your life a while ago. Because, like, yeah, you deserve good friends. You deserve love. You deserve kindness. Please comment on my video and discuss. Just comment in general. And please, if you feel like it wrong, I want to discuss this. If you don't like what I'm saying, discuss in the comments, please. I just want to talk to people and know I've been heard. Maybe give you a chance to be heard too. Anyway, bye.